Okay, thank you for coming back. For those of you that are online, we went a little bit long in the previous session, so we have pushed back this session by 15 minutes. So apologies if you missed the notice about that. Likewise, I believe the next session will probably push an additional 15 minutes just to accommodate, but we have a little bit of slack in the lunch period. And so we will make up that time. So thank you for your understanding as that. This session is called BC Beyond, BCCAT's IT Modernization Plan. And so I promise you this is the last formal presentation that I am going to be giving at JAM. So I will give a big sigh of relief at the end of this presentation. But I wanted to talk to you about technology and where we are and where we want to go. And as you know, I wear two hats at BCCAT. I oversee the transfer and articulation portfolio, but I also oversee our technology portfolio, which has become increasingly complex. And so we're going to do a bit of a values exercise. I'm going to get you moving, because I also know after breaks, even though you just replenished yourselves, we want to keep the energy going. I'm going to talk a little bit about current technologies, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what a modernized system could look like. And then I'll talk a little bit about some of our goals. So I am going to ask you to use your devices if you are online. The Slido is there. You can go to slido.com. The hashtag is JAM Day 2. I know you all have devices. I've seen you working with them. I say this as somebody who usually carries around two devices at all times, so no judgment at all. So that is the hashtag, and we're going to go, and what we are going to start right now is do a bit of a exercise on what you think the core values of the BC transfer system are. And so in order to do that, you should be able to go in and start typing words. And as you start typing in words, you'll notice they'll start populating onto the screen. I will tell you right now, there is no right or wrong answer. I say that before I've seen the answers. So hopefully there will be no right or wrong answers. As the words get bigger, that is an indication of how many people have also put in the same words. Not surprisingly, mobility, accessibility, transparency. There's a lot of good stuff coming in here. It's always fun to see, Mike W. Oh, thank you for whoever put that in. I'm a core value now, am I? All right, this is really good. Okay, we've got 84 people participating. This is really good. I'm going to let that populate. Okay, this is mobility, transparency, accessibility. I see equity, flexibility. These are all really good values. This is really wonderful collaboration. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. So these are what you think the core values are of the BC transfer system. And I'm not surprised to see these words because they're very similar. We actually do have a list of values on the BCCAT website that are very similar to this. Okay. But now I'm going to ask for a more refined question. And the question for you is, what are the core values of good technology? I'm not talking specifically about BCCAT technology. Mike W., yeah, again. I do appreciate that. I'm going to tell my wife that. But what is the core values of good technology? And it doesn't have to be transfer technology. I'm just talking about the technology that you use in your life. What do you value? What is the thing that makes it good? Reliability, ease of use, accessibility. See a lot of things about usability, user-friendly, user-driven. UI and UX, really good. Okay, there is a very specific word that I'm looking for that I'm not seeing, and that's okay, because I will tell you what that word is in a little bit. Okay, it looks like we're landing on reliability, accessibility, efficiency, and ease of use. That seems to be the top four. I do see the word that I'm looking for. I'm not going to say what it is. Not Mike W., but I do see the word that I'm looking for on this screen. Yeah, if you want to take a picture, you can do that. Okay, looks like we have landed on our keywords here. And so I am going to move a little bit forward. So I want to provide a little bit of context about the technologies that we have here We love our acronyms. The acronym that I use the most is TCS. That stands for the Transfer Credit System. And the Transfer Credit System is really the underlying engine that runs the BC Transfer Guide. So every agreement that is published in the BC Transfer Guide comes from the TCS. They were all created within the TCS. It's our workflow that everybody uses to create, send out requests for articulation, respond to requests for articulation, and maintain equivalencies that are in the transfer guide. And we also have additional APIs, another acronym, application programming interfaces, which allow you to connect to other systems to display information and to bring data into your systems. And the TCS has changed quite a bit over the years. When I first started at BCCAT back in 2004, there was a type of TCS. It was built on Lotus Notes. Yeah, I hear a few laughs. I saw a thumbs up. Some of you remember Lotus Notes? Yeah, that was a fun system. Those were fun times. Well, I remember when I was first introduced to the Lotus Notes system, and I was getting a sort of orientation on how it works and all that, and I really didn't hear a word that was being said to me because all I could think of was we need to replace this system. And so one of the first things that I said about working when I started BCCAT was to create the first version of what became known as the TCES, the Transfer Credit Evaluation System, which we launched in conjunction with the bctransferguide.ca. So prior to that, it was located on the BCCAT website. And we have made numerous enhancements to the TCES and TCS over the years. And I put just annual enhancements because if I really wanted to list all the things that we have updated, changed, introduced, it would go on forever and it'd be pretty boring. Annual enhancements is a very general way of saying we've done a lot and we put a lot of time and effort into it. We've done a major release in 2019 where we released what we called the Atomic TCS. I made a joke once that it's no longer TCES, it's TCS because it's 25% more efficient than the old system. It's not radioactive, but the Atomic TCS, really what it represented was the introduction of a new data model. And if you work with applications, data is fundamental to every workflow operation. And so launching the Atomic TCS really opened up the doors for all the opportunities that are now available to us. And we've continued with annual enhancements every year, adding in new features. That top level screenshot is a screenshot of the old TCES, and of course, you know, the new TCS. And some of the high level enhancements that we have introduced over the years include adding external equivalencies, so not just BC-based equivalencies, but non-BC equivalencies. We've built in the agreement builder, the administrative and departmental dashboards, reciprocity, which is always hard to explain, but it does make sense when you kind of show it, as well as all sorts of expansions, including EAL, ABE, and additional transfer mechanisms. And those screenshots you're seeing there are what you see if you log in today. And this is some pictures of the BC Transfer Guide over the years. So when I first started, it was the picture on the lower left-hand corner there. The BC Transfer Guide was actually on the BCCAT website. It was called the Online Transfer Guide. And I remember in my job interview, I was asked by Frank Gellin, who was the executive director at the time, what would you change about the Online Transfer Guide? And I said I would remove it from the BCCAT website and build a standalone website called bctransferguide.ca. I literally said that in my job interview. I don't know if that's what cinched it for me, but that was exactly what I said in the interview. And we launched the first version of the Transfer Guide, which is the middle screenshot. I'm still quite fond of that binder photo because it's nice and clean. It's funny because we originally chose that picture as just a placeholder. We just needed a hero image that we can just put there, and then we'll figure out what the actual image is going to be. And just through bombardment, we eventually just said, let's just go with this picture. It's pretty good. And then these are some of the other designs that we've had over the year. We've redesigned it several times, with the last version being launched in 2020. There are additional resources out there that support transfer. TCS Pathways, we had a demo about that yesterday. Education Planner BC, which is a common application and program planning service, as well as Student Transitions Project and Central Data Warehouse, which you're going to hear about a little bit more today, as well as we have other provincial transfer guides. We have our friends from ONCAT here today. We know ACAT is online, and we also have some representatives from Saskatchewan and Manitoba participating as well. So there's all sorts of additional resources when it comes to transfer credit. Now, last spring, I engaged in what I would describe as a thought exercise, and I tasked myself somewhat with writing what I called at the time a strategic plan, because what I was seeing was a lot of different things happening in the higher education world, a lot of different opportunities that were happening. But what often happens is we develop our work plan through January, March, get it approved by council, and then in April something happens, and then we have to change our work plan because there's new priorities or something happens, and sometimes it become a challenge to achieve macro level changes when you're constantly focused on micro level work. And so as part of thinking about, well, what does the next iteration of or generation of BCCAT technology look like, I thought about core values. And that was why I asked you at the beginning what you thought the core values are of the BC transfer system, but also what are the core values when it comes to technology. So these are some dictionary definitions. I pulled them from Google, so if they're wrong, you can blame Google. I put up the word articulation. I think we all know what that means, the state of being jointed. I have the word modernize, which is to adapt something to modern needs or habits, typically by adopting modern ideas or technologies. But I mentioned that there was a word that I was looking for in the technology word cloud. And the word I was actually looking for was interoperability. And the word did show up. It showed up late, but it did show up, so I'll give you credit, whoever put that in. That is the ability of computer systems or software to exchange and make use of information. And when I think about good technology, for me, at its core, interoperability is key. Because I don't use one website, I don't use 5 websites, I use hundreds of websites. I use hundreds of apps. I have hundreds of IDs, and I have one password that I use for all of them. But that's a half-truth. I use iterations of the same password. That's what everybody does. But really, when you think about it, interoperability is really the key. So I go to the Canucks website and I want to buy some tickets, and it has an interoperable app that hooks up to my Ticketmaster account. And that Ticketmaster account interoperates with my credit card. My credit card is with my bank. And all of this happens at the same website because the technology is interoperable. So much so that we get irritated when it's not interoperable, right? If we can't do it, it's like, oh, I gotta open up another browser. You know, I gotta do this, you gotta do that. Even Slido, you know, you have to go to a separate website. They have integration tools, but you know, when you really think about interoperability is the key. And so when I was thinking about what does a modernized transfer system look like, I started to think about, well, what does interoperability look like? So Walt Disney, regardless of what your opinion is of the mega corporation, I'm actually quite positive about Walt Disney. I love Disney. They, for the people that design their products, that design their what do you call them? Their parks, they don't call them engineers. They actually call them Imagineers, which is kind of fun. But I actually quite like that word because the job is not just to create, but to imagine the future. And so when I was thinking about a modernized transfer system, I decided to start Imagineering. What could that look like? What could a modernized system of technology look like when it comes to transfer and articulation? And some of this is based on some of the comments that I've received or feedback that I've received at articulation committees, at sector level, deans level meetings. And I thought about the way articulation interoperates with related resources. And these are some of the ideas that I came up with when it came to interoperability. And if you're watching online, I'd be happy to hear your ideas about interoperability. You can throw it into the chat, or we can talk about it here in just a minute. But if we were to imagine a modernized system, Wouldn't it be nice if we could have articulation requests that are informed by student mobility? I don't mean just go to the SDP website, go to the central data warehouse, find information, and use that. What I'm talking about is when you submit a request for articulation, wouldn't it be nice if we can have at that time information about where your students have previously gone in that subject area, in that discipline? That information is sort of available, but it's not available within the TCS. That was one idea that came to mind. Wouldn't it be nice if we could have evaluations that are informed by artificial intelligence? So prior to the international changes, the most frequently thing that I would hear at meetings was, what about AI? What is the impact that AI is going to have? So much so that last year, our keynote session was on the impact of AI on higher education. And I've been asked several times this year around how can we use AI to assist with the articulation process. Taking a look at the TCS, we have a database of 30,000 course outlines that have been gathered since 2005. Could we use AI to predict equivalencies? Could we use AI to vet equivalencies that have already been established? If we have the course outlines, can we find methodologies to do that? And I know ONCAT is about to release a pilot project that somewhat looks at that rubric, but the answer is it is possible. It is possible technologically because of the way that technology currently interoperates. Can we create workflow automations that are informed by research? So I have often described the BC transfer system as a mature transfer system. I said that at a meeting 2 weeks ago and someone laughed, and which just goes to show you can have a mature system but still have some immature people in it. Claps. But when I say we have a mature transfer system, what I mean is this transfer system has been around. Its origins are actually in the 1960s. BCCAT's been around for 35 years, as you know. We have the ability to make informed decisions. We're not just casting a fishing rod into the water and hoping for a fish. We know where to fish, and we know where the fish are at. And so can we make workflows that are informed by the wealth of research that we have in BC? We often talk about BC Transfer System as having great technology, and we do have great technology, but one of the things that really makes BC stand apart is our body of research. The student mobility data that we have at our fingertips, which you're going to hear about throughout the course of today, is like nothing else across the country. And it's something to be very proud of. And it's something that you can use and leverage through your work. But rather than making you go there, wouldn't it be nice if we can create workflows that bring it in for you? Basically what I'm getting at is we want to create systems that draw you in rather than push you out. So I am getting older, I'm getting lazy, I don't want to go to 50 different websites, I don't want to remember all the iterations of my passwords, I want it where I am at, and that's the kind of system that I think a modernized system looks like. So all of this is to tell you that we are actually about to embark upon a consultation to start shaping what the next generation of BCCAT technology is going to look like. We have a number of different user groups that we've already identified that we plan to reach out to. Obviously TCS users, faculty, that includes subject matter experts, sector groups, service providers. We may want to talk to students. We do want to talk to students. We want to know about their pain points. And we have a number of consultation activities that we're starting to put together plans for over the course of the remainder of this year as well as into the new year to talk more about how the technology is currently servicing you, but where you would like to see the technology go. Because if we don't know where you want us to go, we're not sure if we're actually going to get there. I'm a baseball fan, everybody knows that. I have, well not everybody, but you should know that, I'm telling you that. Yeah, baseball is my #1 sport. I know as a Canadian it should be hockey, but it is baseball for me. And I've sometimes said that it's not a good idea to take the Field of Dreams approach when it comes to technology. You guys remember the movie Field of Dreams? I don't know if that came out in the 80s, but remember, if you build it, they will come. You know, so the guy builds the baseball field in the farm, and the ghosts of baseball past come. In technology, if you take the Field of Dreams approach, if you build technology that nobody wants, they'll ignore it. And so that's what we don't want to do. So that means that we want to hear from you first before we start laying down the groundwork. What are some of the things that we want to know? We want to know what works well within our current system. We have some sense, but we'd like to have some confirmation. But mostly, I want to know what your pain points are. What is the barriers that are causing you challenges when it comes to articulation activity? Yesterday, I did a session where everybody got to be a SAM at JAM, a strategic articulation manager. And one of the things I mentioned was that last spring we had a backlog of articulation requests that was approaching about 18,000. And a normal steady state is between 5,000 and 6,000. Right now we're at about 5,100, which is a state of normal. But we had a big backlog, and it required some intervention to take a look at some of the reasons. And I think what it was that people were not using some of the tools that were in their toolbox to help make informed decisions about where they're sending articulation requests. If you've never sent a student to 10 schools that are part of the transfer system, do you need to articulate with them? It doesn't mean that students can't transfer there eventually, but do you need to have formal articulation when you might be not prioritizing schools where you do send students? So what are your pain points? What does a modernized system look to you? What do you think the new features are that should be prioritized? AI, we've heard about all sorts of ways to connect. One of the systems, one of the ideas we'd love to be able to explore is interconnecting with your student information systems. That is possible technologically, but it requires some intentionality. And it requires some forethought, as well as obviously it requires some budget. And so we do have budget, but we want to make sure that we allocate it appropriately. So the main question is, what do we want to know is, what do you want the next 35 years to look like? You know, Angus mentioned that he was a newlywed in 1989 when BCCAT started. I was a newlywed when I started at BCCAT. And so what do we want the next 35 years to look like? That is the timeline. That is called a Jeremy Bearimy. Anybody know what the Jeremy Bearimy is? Yeah, you know what the Jeremy Bearimy is? Yeah, that is a timeline from a show called The Good Place, an excellent show called The Good Place, where time is kind of moves like that. That's meant to be a bit of a joke. Tuesdays, July, and sometimes never is the point that you're seeing on the screen there. It means the timeline is fluid. But we do intend to start reaching out to you as early as after JAM, which means next week, where we want to hear from you. And so some of the goals that we have already highlighted that we had planned to undertake as part of this is an end-to-end review of all TCS technologies and business logic. So it's been, the Atomic TCS was more than just an introduction of a new data model. It was the rebuilding of the entire fabric of the TCS. And it was a very time-consuming and challenging project, but it was a very rewarding one. And it's time that we do that again, to take a look, that make sure that our workflows are in fact taking advantage of what's out there. We want to take a look at what other technologies are out there that can be leveraged. We want to explore deeper integrations with system partners. And we also want to modernize the BC Transfer Guide. So we've got to build a plan, a goal, a plan, and action. So now I'm making a call to action for you. Do you want to be involved? Let us know. You should all know how to get a hold of me. If not, you can come talk to me. But we would like to get you involved. We want to hear from you. I still remember when I started at BCCAT, when I was building the TCES, we brought in a number of people from around the province that were BC Transfer System members. We brought them into our boardroom and I asked them one question. When you go into the TCS, what do you want to see? That was the only question I needed to ask, and we had an 8-hour discussion. That's how, and the ideas were amazing. We had one person from UNBC who basically said, okay, well, when I go to the transfer guide, first thing I do is I go to the transfer guide, I print it out, then I get the course outline, I print that out, go to the other institutional website, I print that out. And she went, and so our jaws dropped. Like we were just like, oh my God, that sounds awful. But everything you just said is wonderful, because all I'm hearing is different things that we can address to make things better for you. So that's what we want to know. That's my call to action to you. We have a couple of tools that are available. If you looked in the foyer, we have the wishing tree. This is a simple way that you could add some ideas. I will say there are no bad ideas, but I probably shouldn't say that until I see what ideas are put up there. But please put up your ideas. We want to hear from you. You don't have to put your name on it. It can be anonymous. That is totally fine. If you're online, in the community section, there is the wish tree section in the one of the community boards where you can add your ideas and thoughts. And if you want to be a part of this, please let me know. Even if you don't want to be a part of this, you might hear from me, because I'm probably going to be reaching out to you in the very short while, because this is your opportunity to be on the ground level. It's one thing to have a vision, but the number one way to succeed is to have a shared vision. And the transfer system is for you, and so this is your opportunity to build that shared vision. So that is my pitch. We are at 11:41. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this. Otherwise, you can look forward to hearing a lot more about this in both the short and medium term as we move forward with this endeavor. So that's my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any online. There's microphones up here at the front as well as in the back. All right, any questions? Good, no, everything was perfectly clear. A perfect Jeremy Bearimy. All right. Okay, well, then I will use this opportunity to catch up with a little bit of time. So our next session is for, I'm going to invite Dr. Anna Takina up, who is going to give us a presentation on profiling BC transfer systems. So profiling BC transfer students, my mistake, sorry. Come on here, Anna.